Hey, good afternoon, and welcome to episode 3 of the Deliver More series from Intech. My name is Nick. I have the pleasure of interviewing 3 members of the sales team. You've probably talked to these guys on the phone before, but I just want you to say hello to Patrick.
How are you? Patrick, technical sales.
We also have Steve Bucci with us today.
Hey guys, how are you doing?
And also Tyler. Tyler, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us.
And listen, I really do want to thank you all for being part of this today. This is a great opportunity to kind of get, draw back the curtain and for people to learn a little bit more about day-to-day operations and the people, put some personality behind the voices they hear when they pick up the phone and you're kind enough to help them out. It's November. It's been about 200, by the time we publish this, it's going to be probably 215 days since you guys have been together at the workplace. So it's very rare that we all see each other in this context again. But it's just very cool to have you here and to be part of this. And today I wanted to begin, we've got 3 little parts to our talk today. Today I wanted to begin with a little, kind of reflective piece. Everyone loves a good origin story. And I wanted to begin with how you got here, what brought you to Intech. Patrick, I wanted to start with you. You and Tyler you came in around the same time or at the same time?
Yeah, we were the freshman class of 2018, so to speak. But a little bit of a background on me. I grew up, born and raised in Delaware. Went to St. Elizabeth High School, went to college at Wilmington University. Didn't really know exactly that my path would lead me into sales, especially on the Teflon side. But when the opportunity presented itself, I thought, this was a great place to land. And more than happy, been here now for a little over 2 years. So loved my time here at Intech and all the people, including, you 3 here.
So right along the freshman class, we're going to stay in that class briefly here, Tyler. Give us a quick background along the lines of what Patrick did. Are you a Delawarean? Are you native Delawarean?
Yeah, so I am a Delawarean. I went to high school at Caravel Academy, and then I went to college at University of Delaware, graduated with a degree in chemical engineering with a minor in business administration. And obviously I'm doing sales as well here at Intech Services, an account manager. Hired the same day as Patrick, came in, and I've been loving it ever since, about a little over 2 years now.
So we have a Caravel guy and a St. E's guy, and it's interesting because when I look around this place, I'm very familiar with school environments. I spent 13 years in school myself. And when education is happening, you can tune in, it's happening. I started part-time around the same time that you guys did. And I cannot tell you, there are times when I've been daunted and intimidated by how much you guys have had to learn since you started out. And just to get your feet wet in this business, we're going to talk about that in a minute because it truly does fascinate me. But sticking along the origin story part, Bucci, how did you get to Intech Services?
Yeah, so 3 years ago next week, October 16th, which happens to be my birthday as well, I started here at Intech. I was in the physical therapy field for many years before that, a good 15 years plus. And I hit a brick wall with my career there. I just kind of felt like I wasn't being challenged enough for quite some time and realized I wanted to take a leap elsewhere and put some feelers out. And ended up here at Intech, and ever since, loving it. It's been one of the best moves I think I've ever made in my life. So looking forward to many more years. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Happy early birthday to you there, Mr. Bucci.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I've learned this from a couple of the higher ups here that as a hiring procedure, not really focused on bringing somebody in with substantial, experience in Teflon. What we're looking for is people with no fear. We're looking for people who are going to engage and people who will pick up the phone. And there's a great deal of trust that's required, I think, by your employer and then on your part as well, because you have to trust that they're going to teach you everything that they have to teach you in order to do this job day to day.
Sure.
Was it a bit intimidating when you started, Patrick? Because, I'm learning this right now, hundreds of products, hundreds of applications. Was it intimidating to start out knowing you had to learn a product line that's complex like that?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, it took me back to school, so to speak. I mean, it's a background that I wasn't too versed in. And, seeing all the different product codes, it was a little bit daunting. But, with the supportive staff and in particular, Chris Lord really helping out, break things down. Over the span of a few months, I was able to really kind of, feel my way through the product line. And, after a while, that dauntingness of it started to fade away a little bit and became a little more manageable.
Were you always comfortable on the phone, Patrick?
Actually I wasn't. I was more of a texting kind of kid growing up. It was always kind of intimidated getting on the phone, calling your friends to set up a meeting or go over whatever the case is. But, coming into here, it was a challenge that I really wanted to kind of take for my own personal self. And, after, again, a few months, once you get a little bit more familiar with the product line, naturally my personality kind of came out and, it became a lot more comfortable.
I know that just hearing you in my day-to-day operations, just hearing you on the phone with people, it's amazing how comfortable you've gotten, how knowledgeable you are at this point. And I think a great deal of comfort has to be afforded to who's on the other end of that call with you. So you gotta be really proud of that. As somebody who's a former teacher, I'm like, my God, these guys really, in the course of a few months, they got the thing down. Steve, did you have the same kind of, that experience that Patrick described as, it's like we're back in school?
Absolutely. That's the way I always refer to it. Cause I talk to my friends about this often. They're like, what are you doing now? If I haven't seen them in a while, and they're always, kind of amazed at the amount of technical knowledge you need once you get talking about it and all the different industries we have to serve. And it really, goes to show to Patrick's point that I say it the same way. I felt like I was back in school for a good 6 months to a year almost, before you really start to feel comfortable with this stuff and all the ins and outs, and you're still learning things. It was challenging, but, through this process, being pop quizzed while I was here several times, really put me in check to make sure I, got a hold of what I needed to know to get the job done and to really help all the customers out with these things that they're looking for.
You reach a point though where you think, by God, that's the last goddamn test I'm going to take, whether that's it, whatever. Yeah. And then
I went home a couple nights. If I get one more damn test, I don't think I might put my 2 weeks in, Nah, I'm teasing. No, that's complete joke. It was what really got me through though. It really did. It really made sure, it was very well done. And, it was challenging enough to make sure I had to know it. And like I said, it was well worth it.
But he was already thanked before with Chris Lord, and Chris has helped me in a great deal, just getting my feet wet enough and getting me comfortable enough where I can kind of have a conversation this way. But when he was describing the tests, the side-by-sides, he described some quizzes that were administered by a certain Mike Patterson that he just described as quote unquote brutal. And that learning curve, I don't know if a lot of people have the fortitude to stick with that at a new job. Sometimes it's enough just to
break you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Tyler,
absolutely.
Tyler, you, with your background, did you approach this like, it's a new job, but I have to almost have that scholastic approach to it?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, as soon as I graduated college, I was like, thank God I'd taken the last tests for a long time. And then it was wrong. Right after college, back at it again with the tests and the flashcards, studying for it. I think that just such a daunting, product line to learn. There's so many products, and it really just took a lot of repetitiveness with the flashcards day after day, just kind of getting in there and really learning it until you became comfortable with it. And, speaking to the tests too, I remember one particular time we have our cool downs every Friday from, 3 till 4 o'clock till we're done for the day. And about 3:30 on a Friday, you're kind of thinking, this is it for the week. I'm done. Time to go home and enjoy the weekend. And then here comes Mike Patterson rolling around the corner with a quiz for us right in front of the entire sales room. And it was pretty daunting to say the least, but I think we got through it all right.
And he's got a devilish smile as he just heaps that trouble on you on the.
He knows what he's doing.
He certainly does. So if I can, and I'm talking with three guys that are that you guys don't have any problem being honest and sincere. And I'll let whoever wants to answer this one first, because I honestly don't have a place I'm directing it. Was there ever a point where you felt like maybe the connection's not there? Maybe this isn't for me. Did you have a moment where you kind of struggled that way?
I'll go first.
Go ahead.
I'll say this, after a few of those quizzes, you start maybe a little bit of self-doubt for a split second. You can't let that hold on for too long, but kind of creeps in. It's like Tyler said, a lot of flashcard review, and kind of trying to break down those product codes. It could be a little bit daunting, but like we've all said, you continue to push through. You trust in yourself that you're going to pick it up, and a lot of the phone work that we've done has kind of helped educate us as well. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie to you, that thought came through maybe once or twice early on for sure.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I agree with Patrick on that. I mean, there was a couple times where, I knew I wasn't going to, quit, per se, but the thought crossed your mind as far as, geez, and especially for me, I mean, I was, further along in my career than Tyler and Patrick. At that point in my life, I was like, geez, do I really want this headache? Should I just go back? And, I had that, safety net to fall back on with my previous career. Do I want to just go back into that? And I said, nah, you know what? This is what I wanted. I wanted a new challenge, and pushed me through for sure.
Yeah. And I think for me, the scary part came when, I'm a numbers guy. I always have been. So learning the product codes, they're all numbers. It wasn't too bad, and I got comfortable with it pretty quickly, but it's then using it and applying it, applying all that knowledge you just learned real time over the phone with someone who's sitting there. It's a live conversation. You got to be ready for it and be on your toes to help them out and apply that information.
Tyler, was it the phone work that kind of led you to a point where you're thinking to yourself, you know what? I think I know this stuff. Not that I know everything, but I think I can do this.
Well, that's certainly the best way to do it. Just get your feet wet and just dive in head first. I mean, when that first phone call, comes in and you just learned all this new knowledge and it's still all brand new to you, your heart's racing, and they get on the phone and they throw all these numbers at you, these questions, and you're just hoping you can answer them. And eventually, you might fumble a little bit or falter, but eventually you get the hang of it and you build your confidence up, and then just keep moving forward.
There's no better way of learning something than knowing that you have to teach it, apply it, present it in some way, because then all the pressure's on you. You got to communicate that. And I think it's kind of healthy that here you're granted the opportunity to learn a business and learn a business like this one. And then there's also that clear directive that you have to know your product and you have to apply it. So take me a little bit into that coding selection process. The phone rings. What's your rule here? Has to be picked up by what?
Second ring.
Second ring. It's picked up on the second ring.
First ring. Come on.
Yeah, by the second ring. First ring. Way to get me. The moment you pick that phone up, Patrick, we'll start with you. Mm-hmm. What's a good first question that you will ask when you're trying to help a customer in that selection process?
I mean, the big thing is, are you familiar with Teflon coatings first and foremost? That kind of helps out, especially if you don't know who the person is calling in. We got a pretty, big customer base here, and we do get a lot of calls from people who are, regularly applying this material. But say it's somebody that heard about the Teflon brand name and wants to get involved. The big question is, well, what's your reason for coating? Why do you feel the need for a Teflon coating, and are you familiar with the processes that are involved in applying them?
How about you, Steve? First good question to help a customer.
First good question. We need to figure out what substrate you putting this on. What are we trying to coat here? We don't want, things that our material won't adhere to, that won't be a fit for. I mean, there's definitely some substrates out there, a rubber, for instance, I get that one often. A lot of the times the cure temps for our material, they're, that substrate is not going to hold up to it. You get far enough along in the conversation. I learned that back a while ago where, I got probably 30 minutes in and I forgot to ask that big question. What are you trying to put this on? It's great that it's this and it's this big and it's this much material you're going to need. And I forgot to ask that. I'll never forget that. That happened a couple years ago. But substrate is a big one. Definitely we want to uncover what that is before we even, start to look at possibilities of product selection.
So on let's go on to the customer's end, Tyler, if we could, what's good information that a customer can have ready when they talk to you on the phone that's in turn going to help you out?
Yeah, definitely. There's plenty of information that a customer can bring to the table. I mean, first, as many details as they can bring is always going to help us out. But more specifically, if there's going to be any food contact, that's a really big one, especially because we have products that are FDA approved and some that aren't FDA approved. And if they're trying to do an application with food contact and you're going to recommend a product that's not FDA approved, you can really lead them down a wrong path pretty quickly. And along that line, you also have chemical resistance as well. If they're going to be seeing any corrosive chemicals at high concentrations or temperatures, it could really degrade the coating pretty quickly. So again, you want to make sure you're providing them the right coating for that application that's going to work for them.
Understood. Now, as far as your phone work is concerned, we've all made changes within the last, ever since, that second week in March. Has your work on the phone changed at all during that time? Are people a little bit more, do they want to talk a little bit more? Are they a little bit more open or a little bit more pleasant in your experience, Steve?
Yeah, I think at first there was some pushback, where people were almost a little fearful. So they were like, we've got to worry about, a lot of these guys are diverse enough in some other areas that they do besides outside the Teflon coating. They were worried about, making sure that part, for instance, was, still available for them. They weren't going to be affected there. So I think initially, from my experiences, if I remember looking back, yeah, there was definitely some pushback. But now, once the new normal kicked in, for lack of better words, I feel people definitely had a little bit more time to talk. And it was a great time to have some conversations. I think it opened the door up for us to explore new options for them, to look at possibly trialing some new material, testing, things of that nature. Looking for rework was a great thing that we attacked there for people that had some shutdowns in their plants, so they could actually recoat some parts that typically don't have the opportunity to during normal times. So yeah.
Let's start here with the class of 2018 one more time. So Patrick, I'm tossing the ball to you. So you've been here a little bit over 2 years. Mm-hmm. In those 2 years, have you had a moment that has totally stressed you out on a call?
Oh, yeah.
Does
definitely.
one stand out?
One stand out. Yeah, I mean, there's been a few times on the technical side of things where you're asking questions, but you're not, so to speak, getting answers. And that could be kind of daunting, can be kind of tough. I once had a guy, he was asking for light bulbs. He needed light bulbs coated. And that's something that we've seen done in the past. Our clear PFA, our 532G5310, it's been used on that application for years and years. And this gentleman was telling me about how there's changes in the government coming. It's going to be Teflon. We need Teflon all day, every day. And I kept asking him, I was like, well, what kind of light bulb is it? What kind of light bulb is it? He goes, just a light bulb. I'm like, no, well, there's different kinds of light bulbs. And he just refused to answer the question. He had said he had to run, go to into a meeting. Called a guy back a few times, eventually getting back on the phone. He goes, oh, no, we found a supplement for it. We're good to go. We found 3,500 light bulbs in the back of the warehouse, so we're good to go for a while. I was like, are you kidding me, man? You call in, you need all this information. We're ready to rock and roll. And then all of a sudden, a couple weeks later, he tells me, oh, no, we're good. We're good.
Oh,
interesting.
And I love it. It's so good, so polished. You're like this. You could almost see the quotation marks, like this gentleman. And I'm sure he was a gentleman all the way to you. Come on, it's amazing how professional you guys are, having to talk to people whose demands are sometimes, and probably don't even know they're being demanding. Have you had an experience, Tyler, in your 2.5 years that kind of tested your patience?
Oh, I mean, almost every day. It's tough. It really depends. I mean, sometimes, especially lately, a lot of our customers some of them are struggling, with what's going on in the world. Obviously, business isn't where it used to be. So it's tough to deal with people who are pretty aggressively coming at you, looking for discounts or this or that. Sometimes you just don't have the answers for them. You can't always give them what they want. You can't always provide the right information right there on the phone. And a lot of them are right here, right now, and they want their information right now on the phone. But sometimes when you just can't do it, they get frustrated with you. So you just got to continue to be patient and just try to settle them down, talk them off the ledge, and just say, I'll find that information for as soon as I possibly can. But right now, I just don't have it.
I learned something early on when I was teaching at Bethlehem Catholic up in the Lehigh Valley, where somebody, a teacher with 35 years of experience, was kind of helping us out. He said the most important thing, if you don't know the answer, tell someone you don't know the answer, that you're going to get the answer, you're going to work towards it. This is something, you can approach together, but never kind of blow that off like you have all the answers. And I think that makes a difference with the person on the other end. I truly do. Steve.
Yeah.
What is you come from a different background, certainly, and I don't know the day-to-day rigors and stress of what you were going through before in your previous career, but
Sure.
have there been moments that kind of tested Steve Bucci's pleasantness? Because my God,
Yeah.
you're on the phone and you sound like you're everybody's best bud, but I've never heard a meltdown.
That's my angle. I try to play that with everybody. I think a couple of the engineers that are trying to design some new pieces and parts, and they I think that's one of the biggest challenges I've experienced with several projects or opportunities where I've been working with. They design these plans before they start asking questions about different coatings, things like that. So they present it that they need something, but then they don't look at, for instance, a part geometry, maybe a very tight fitment where someone can't get a spray gun into that area. And they are refused to change their plans because they're right and you're wrong. So it becomes a battle, but once they realize at the end of the day that they need the performance property from the Teflon coatings, I think, they'll make some changes to that drawing before they actually, manufacture or have the part fabricated in a shop somewhere. That's always one that definitely pops up for me, probably monthly.
Really?
To battle. Yeah. It's tough sometimes, and I think another obstacle in the same realm is, if we get somebody, we want to make sure that we're getting our coatings on there. We want to make sure that they're getting done properly. And sometimes, you pass this off to a coder and, just following up, making sure, even though you might feel like you're bothering them, we got to make sure that, our coatings are going on those parts. There's obviously some competitive offerings out there, but that's always a pretty big challenge, and kind of it can definitely cause problems sometimes. Where you feel like there might have been some things that were done that maybe we didn't advise being done. Whether it's a different type of coating or a different coating as a whole.
Well, I can tell you this, just being in the same room and working alongside you, and I'm doing different things, obviously. But all three of you, I mean this with all sincerity. Your approach to what you do is exemplary, and the way that you conduct yourselves on the phone, which is so important. First of all, like picking up that phone is important, not letting it ring, but the way that you deal with customers. I truly am in awe, and I'm in awe of what you guys have been able to learn about a complex business within the short amount of time. And I mean, you included, Steve, that is a short amount of time to kind of compile all that information, but not just to keep it here, have to apply it day in, day out. It truly Absolutely. Is you got to be proud of it. You're to be commended. I wanted to ask you quickly, because Tyler brought it up earlier. We all know things are different. Steve used the term the new normal that we all been living with for so long. And I said that beforehand, that it's been, 200 or so days since we've been, the workplace has been what we were used to. Patrick, you saw this place when it was full of people every day. You see it now when you come in and do your calls. What's one thing that you miss about day-to-day life at Intech Services?
Oh, I mean, it's the team. It's having the whole team together. We've all kind of developed a relationship, a tight-knit friendship with each other. I feel like, between us three and Mike as well, and Chris Lord and Chris Dole as well. I mean, we all seem to get along very well, and we all tend to help each other, and that's the great part about it. When you come to work every day and you're around people who are supportive of you, and you're around people that, are that you can truly consider friends, that makes the job much more enjoyable, and it makes the environment, much better in terms of, making sure that you're getting your productivity and everything done. I mean, that all adds into it, I feel like.
There's got to be something else too, depending, based on the kind of work that you're doing. There's a bit of camaraderie of just like being in the trenches, right? Like, I just got off this crazy call, you're like, just to have somebody.
Yeah, sharing
there.
that experience. Yeah, Nick, sorry to cut you off. Yeah, sharing that experience, exactly what you were saying, is what I was thinking about. We get off the call, and I think, if someone, is having an issue, and you're like, man, there's some frustration that's visible in the room, and then people are recognize it. And then when you get off, you have a chance to kind of vent about it or share that experience, and whether good or bad. Some of them are great. You have an awesome win, you get to share that with somebody. If you have a shitty call, I mean, it's there, I mean, to share with them as well. And at home, as working from home as much as we don't get a chance to share that.
How about you, Tyler? Something about the typical business day here that you miss?
Yeah, I mean, I think both of those guys brought up, two great things that I really miss about being in the office with everybody. Obviously, the people here are really what makes coming to work here every day is as amazing as it is. And Steve brings up a great point. I completely forgot that it was even a thing that happened here. Is sometimes when you're between phone calls, but you hear someone else across the room on a phone call, and you can't hear what the person on the other end of the phone is saying, but you know how the call is going. Sometimes you'll just kind of sit back and listen to it and laugh. At how they're handling it and kind of see their frustration sometimes. Then as soon as they get off the phone, you know exactly what their reaction is going to be. So I think that's probably the thing that I miss the most.
Yeah, and there's no way to simulate that kind of camaraderie and
No.
that true sense of community that we're all kind of yearning for and we hope to return to. So in that spirit, I do have something, well, I guess it's good to simulate that. We're going to talk about a normal business day for you guys, normal business day on the floor. And I have some scenarios here prepared for you. Just basic information that you would be asked for on a typical call day to day. But I'm failing myself right here because I certainly don't look like I'd be dressed on a normal work day. So let me do a quick costume change.
Oh boy.
Oh man, this
Love
should be
surprises.
All right.
Oh.
Good afternoon.
man. Oh man,
All right, guys.
Nick, you look great.
Yeah, a little different. So we're going to go through some scenarios. One of the things that we do is recommend codings for folks, and we get those inquiries every day. So we put a couple together. We're going to go around the horn. I'll tell you who's up. I'm going to give you the scenario, and then you're going to give me the questions, like the answers that you need from the customer. Okay.
Gosh.
Sounds
Does that
good.
work?
Let's do it.
All right. Scenario number one, my prospect's having a tank design and specifically said he needs chemical resistance. He says the Teflon works. He has other tanks in his facility that need to be coated as well. Patrick.
All right. First thing we need to know is what are the chemicals that are exposed there and what's the operating temperature? If you can give us the concentration of those chemicals, that's also helpful. It helps us narrow down the the coatings that could be available.
Okay, just need one. All right, you got it. Chemicals and concentration. Perfect. All right, Tyler.
First thing I'm going to want to know is how we can get into those tanks. Do they have any openings where I can get a spray gun in there, or do they come apart in half? Need to be able to spray the insides if that's what they're looking for.
Excellent. Is there a manway? Perfect. Steve.
Is there any temperature limitations?
Okay.
And
Operating
use
temperature.
operating temp, service temp.
Perfect. All right, Patrick, back around to you.
Back around to me. So I guess what are the part dimensions here? How thick is that metal? How big is the tank?
Excellent. All right, Tyler, back to you.
What's the substrate? Gotta know what the tank's made of. Make sure it's good to coat.
Okay. Can you give me another one that was similar to Patrick's? You have another one offhand, Tyler?
Yeah, I would say, a lot of times in these chemical tanks, sometimes they can't be removed. So you got to make sure that they can actually take it out of operation and move it somewhere where it can be coated.
Perfect. Steve.
You mentioned that there were some other Teflon has been shown to work. What other materials have been used in the past?
Perfect. All right, Patrick.
Are there any abrasion and durability concerns? There's obviously chemical exposure, but is there anything else, maybe like a grainy powder or sand or something like that?
Okay, remember this is a tank, but we'll go with that. Okay. You guys need me to read the question again?
No, we're good.
Okay, Tyler.
Are there any other coating options being considered currently that we're going to be competing against?
Competitive. Excellent. All right, Steve.
Man, running out of ideas here. Is there any food contact?
FDA compliance is a very big one, guys. Perfect. All right, Patrick, back to you.
Is there any cost limitations? What are your expectations to spend on this Teflon coating?
Perfect. All right, Tyler, to you.
We haven't already decided it. I think it's important to know, are they looking to coat it themselves, or they're going to need us to recommend an applicator near them?
Excellent. Steve, back to you.
Man, I tell you. What's the coating, the value of the coating to you?
Okay, value or price. Okay, excellent. Patrick.
Oh man, we're coming down to the nitty gritty, boys. where are you located? Because that also could, like, is this, like Tyler said, it kind of plays into what he said about needing an applicator?
Well, okay, that's a repeat. We got applicators, so. All right. Patrick, sorry, buddy. We're going to have to eliminate you on that one. All right, Tyler, go ahead.
Oh, no.
Well, I would say if you're looking for chemical resistance, it's going to come down to most likely PFA. So do you have the ability to use powder in there, or you're going to need a liquid application? Because it can go either way between those two.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know.
You join me.
All right. Steve, go ahead.
Can this tank be removed from its location if it's in use?
All right, that's a repeat. Tyler, give me one better one.
Sorry.
That's the Tyler. Give me one better one. Come on.
I would say, do you have any color preferences?
Yeah. Okay. All right. So in this round, we'll go ahead. Steve and Tyler, you move on. Patrick, I'm sorry, sir. You've been eliminated. Great answers, though. You had some great answers, but ran out of ammunition, buddy.
Oh,
all right.
So many questions.
Here we go. Scenario number 2. My prospect has an automotive spec and stated that he was just notified that the current coating is being eliminated. He wanted to know if we had a coating that offered great lubricity and durability. So this time around, we're going to go Steve first and then Tyler. Steve, go ahead.
Yes, we do. We do have a coating that would fit that.
Okay, something better than yes?
Well, no. Are you looking for a coating recommendation? I'm sorry. Product recommendation.
You're trying to find out information about the job. Remember, this is the scenario. I need great lubricity and durability. What don't you know?
The size of the parts.
Perfect. Tyler?
What are the parts that we're coating?
Okay. Steve, back to you.
What's the substrate of the parts?
Okay. Tyler?
Any temperature concerns?
Temperature's always a factor. Steve?
Are there any cost concerns?
Price. Excellent. Tyler?
Are we being evaluated alongside any other options?
Okay. Steve?
What was used previously that worked for you?
I'm gonna say that's a good one, Steve. I'm gonna say copy the spec. Remember, it's specification. So I'm gonna put that on there. All right. So we've covered that one. Tyler.
Gotcha.
You looking to do the application yourself, or you need us to recommend an applicator for you?
Okay. Steve.
What kind of time frame are we looking at starting this work?
Excellent. Good. Very good answer. Tyler, go ahead.
Does the specification state how thick or thin the coating needs to be?
There's DFT limitations. Perfect. Steve.
Is there any color concerns? Color needs?
All right, I'm gonna give you a chance. You have one other one? Come on, Steve.
Booch. Come on.
Remember, we don't sell on color.
No, I don't. Oh man. Who's the engineer I need to speak to?
Who's my contact? Okay, we'll take that one.
All right.
Last minute save.
Tyler.
I'm assuming if you're going to be changing the spec, you need to do some tests and trials. So what does that process look like?
Okay. Steve had time frame, but I'll get that. That's you want to know what kind of testing you need to perform. Excellent. Steve.
I can give a product recommendation right now. I need that. I'm teasing. Oh man.
Got 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
I'm out.
Congratulations, Tyler. Todd, you have any more you want to give?
I was going to say, you're looking for lubricity. Is there a certain coefficient of friction that you're trying to be within?
Test data.
Data, yeah.
Perfect. Okay. All right. Excellent. Tyler, congratulations. You are the winner of our scenario, scenario Jeopardy. The trophy's in the mail. We'll send it out to you. Appreciate everybody's involvement here. At this point, I'm going to turn it back over to Nick And thank you guys. You did a really good job.
Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, Chris.
Definitely salty about being the first one out.
You know who to reach out to if you need Teflon.
Yeah,
I had to get that guest star in here. Certainly can talk a little bit better than I can about this stuff. Thank you all. Thank all three of you for playing along with that and for talking to me today. This is the Deliver More series has been really cool so far as we're able to open up the doors and you know, even though we can't open our doors, but let people learn a little bit about you and put some faces and personalities with names that they're used to speaking to on the phone. So thank you guys for being here. I certainly want to thank Chris Lord and Mike Patterson for helping me just prep to talk to you guys today. So on behalf of Patrick and Steve Bucci and Tyler, I just want to say thanks to everyone who checked us out and listened. We're going to be back in December for another episode of Deliver More, recorded right here in Delaware. We'll see you next time, guys. Bye.